Hello and welcome to the University of St. Thomas Law School. I wanted to give you a quick background on my resume and give you a little bit perspective on my specific skills and expertise that I try to translate into the classroom. So I'm a PhD trained economist and lawyer. I was born and raised in Europe. Did most of my education both in economics and law in Europe, and then came to the United States, where I also finished my J.D. degree, and after that I worked at Cravath, Swaine & Moore in syndicated banking deals for the most part, did the Hertz securitization among several other major deals in 2005, and then went to Goldman Sachs in London, where I was in the securities division, mostly dealing with options and futures in ICE contracts. After that, I worked for a while in private equity in the United States, in Chicago, and then started my career in academia. As a young, untenured professor, I have published most of my work in federal securities regulation, particularly in hedge funds. I have about 30 papers or so in that context, major journals. After that, I have started to advise crypto hedge funds and regular run-of-the-mill hedge funds on the product side, and got into emerging technologies through this advisory work, where I started to realize how powerful the emerging technologies are, not just in finance, but also as infrastructure products and decentralized solutions. And so I have published total around 100 papers now in this context, and most of my scholarship is involved in finance and derivative solutions, as well as infrastructure solutions. I've published mathematical models that prove that decentralized infrastructure products are possible, and I'm currently working on a book on decentralization. So this gives you a quick sort of wrap up on my background. At St. Thomas, I teach most of the business law curriculum, so that's federal securities regulation, business associations, corporations, mergers and acquisitions, international finance, crypto finance, among several other courses in this context. But I also, and more importantly perhaps, because of the emerging technology relevance, including in law, I'm teaching coding for lawyers, disruptive innovation, among several other courses in this context. And so let me give you a quick perspective on 3 of those courses. Hello and welcome to Coding for Lawyers. This is a very exciting new course that we're adding to the curriculum at the University of St. Thomas, and it is very exciting for several very good reasons. One, many of you, when you come to law school, you already have heard about emerging technologies that are changing the practice of law. As a matter of fact, that are changing our daily lives. So this course is a summary course, a survey course of what are the trends in society that translate into law that are technology driven? Where do they come from and where are they going? And what can we build in law, and how is law changing as a result of the emerging technologies and their multiplication effects in the multiplication effects in their application? Yeah. So the way the course is built, it's I structured it in 3 different parts. The first part is the what. So what is happening in technology? What is happening in technology that is disrupting the existing practice of law? Now these are very early beginnings in which we can see this happening. So for instance, we see AI automation of contract procurement. And just to give you sort of a perspective on this, the what really focuses on what was the role of technology in the past. So in the past, the legal databases, for instance, have created more jobs, because you could now, with a quick search query, get more law than you could ever in a much shorter time period than you could do in the past by going into the hardcover books. Yeah? So this technology really facilitated new jobs, in the sense that the outputs of legal precedent were higher, and we needed more human bodies to digest this new precedent. And so that hence in the 70s and 80s, the legal market exploded. because we needed more people to provide that work. Of course, there were also economic effects at work here, in which the economy grew in the 70s and 80s. So now, however, we're at a point where the grunt work that was provided in the past can already, by junior associates, junior lawyers that is, can already be partially and increasingly be fulfilled and provided by algorithmic solutions. So this course is giving you a perspective on the history of technology in the first part of the course, of how have these solutions evolved, and it gives you a perspective on where is this going to go. Yeah? So for instance, I always quote ROS. It's a IBM product that can do searches in a fraction of the time that, so very specific narrowed down searches, in a fraction of the time that a human can perform. Yeah? So the question becomes, what is this system providing that can that evolve in the future? So that's the what part. The next question then addressed in the course is the how part. How are we using technology and coded legal solutions currently? So the course, and this changes every year, so this is very labor intensive for me because I have to make sure that I present the latest developments in a digestible way for you. So you always get, every year you get cutting edge new developments in both the what part and the how part. Yeah? So in the how part, again, we are looking at how can these legal solutions be used, and how far are we now in coded implementation of usable legal solutions. So for instance, about half a year ago, there's a big announcement that the Chinese courts have started to automate motion practice. So very basic if-then statements can now, because the Chinese don't have the enormous workforce, legal workforce that we have in the United States, they've started to automate basic if-then statements, motion practice. If it's this, and so the question becomes, if the Chinese have already been doing it, how have they been doing it? And what does that mean for our practice here? Yeah, so in the how part, we look at how have these solutions been used? What languages have they been written in? And I start introducing you to very basic code. Yeah, we use Solidity, smart contracting code on the Ethereum platform. So I give you a basic framework of how it works, how the Ethereum virtual machine works, and how you can use smart contracts rather than ink contracts that we write out, but how you use legal concepts that can be transposed into code. Yeah, so that's the how part really goes into that. And then in the last part, we look at how the what and the how can actually be translated into actual projects that you yourselves work on. So what I do is I teach you basic code templates. I show you how legal solutions are created. I walk you through the code and the how part, and then I say, okay, now get together in a group of no more than 5 and present me with a legal problem that has a potential legal solution, legal coded solution, that is. So legal problems, existing legal solutions that are suboptimal that can be optimized with code. Yeah? So you're giving me a group presentation. This is a collective exercise in which you are giving me your groupthink of what is missing in a given area of law. And you're already hinting towards how these solutions can be created. Then, in the second part, I ask you to individually write code that provides a coded legal solution for an existing legal problem. So it's an optimization attempt, yeah? And the sky's the limit. Every semester, I am literally blown away. You students are teaching me of what's missing and how code can create these solutions. It is literally a mutual exchange. I'm giving you basics, I'm giving you concepts in the what and how, and you're giving me your implementation and instantiation of the coded solutions that you work with. And I have many instances where students went outside of the classroom and talk to their friends, many of whom are coders, and create full-on compiling code that creates a new solution in a legal context. Yeah? And that's what I want for you. I want for you to come out of this course and have an appreciation of how far we can actually already go with code and where we can go in the future. Now, of course, I'm also showing you the limitations. They're huge limitations. That's not what this is about. It's about understanding what you should know in the future. Yeah? You've given me this code. You created a coded legal solution. You walked me through the code. You annotated the code. Now you come out of this course and you start developing thinking, an appreciation of what's possible. Yeah? And I have many students who start teaching this, the knowledge that comes out of this course in their own legal environments. Sometimes they give CLEs in-house seminars. There are other ways to do it. And it's very rewarding for me personally to see this, yeah? Because I can tell it clicks. And not only are you creating new solutions that I could never have thought of and envisioned, but you're also going out and starting to teach others. And that's extremely rewarding. So I hope you take Coding for Lawyers. It's a very powerful course. And I hope to see you there. Thank you.